Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Books Show. This is episode 480, and I am your host, Claire Taylor from FFS Media. Brian is out this week. He's taking a little vacay. Good for him. So I am doing this all on my lonesome. I saw Brian do it a couple weeks ago all by himself, and I thought, well, if he can do it, so can I. So here we are today. This is going to be a quick show. We're going to go through the rundown very efficiently, unless I sit and talk forever, which sometimes, if you've been in one of my master classes or workshops, you know that I don't have a problem talking for 3 hours if nobody stops me. So we are not going to do that today. I will say that I have some more summer master classes, which I totally just pitched for you. But yeah, I have a Hero's Journey of the Enneagram masterclass and a Fiction and the Enneagram masterclass coming up in July and August. So go to ffs.media/classes. If either one of those sounds interesting, there's a lot of people signed up for it. We have a good time. We make a Saturday of it. So if you are interested in how to use the Enneagram for your writing, that is the place to go. All right, let's jump right into it. Let's look at last week's question of the week, which was, when have you experienced imposter syndrome in publishing and what did you do about it? Jackie Beard said, I feel like an imposter whenever sales drop. Then I remind myself that my reviews are pretty decent. It's my marketing that sucks. And if reading the better reviews doesn't cheer me up, I go for a run, pull on my big girl pants, and start writing again. Excellent. Emily Michael said, about once every 3 to 6 months, I decide I'm no good at this. I have a cry, eat my Ben and Jerry's, then a couple days later make myself sit in front of the computer and write anyway. That is also relatable. I always say that, ice cream can't be your only tool, but it isn't a bad tool to have in your toolbox. So yeah, eat that Ben and Jerry's if that's going to help you rebound. Okay, so let's jump into our top story. And this is pet peeves that keep readers from becoming super fans. I'm realizing now that I didn't do like a snappy title for that. I don't know. Pet reader peeves. I don't know. That's what it'll be called. Anyway, here we go. If you're writing books with the goal of making fans who read all your books, it might be worth avoiding some of the things that readers hate, or at least the most common pet peeves. Quote, these days, I find it almost impossible to follow a novel with wild head hopping, where every spear carrier is a POV character, writes author Anne R. Allen. Keep in mind that not all readers will agree, but it's helpful to know what a lot of readers dislike these days, says Allen. In February, the Washington Post did a survey of their book club members and discovered a few frowned upon trends, starting with dream sequences. Quote, dreams are a primary irritation for a number of readers, reports the Post's Ron Charles, who says readers find them to be lazy writing. Many reader pet peeves can be addressed by a good editor. Spelling, grammar, plot holes, and anachronisms pull readers out of the story. Authors who want to write more books may be pleased to know that readers thought many books were excessively long. Quote, but it's not just the books that are too long, said reader Susan Moss. Quote, everything in them is too long too, end quote. Readers complained about long prologues, introductions, expositions, characters, explanations, descriptions, paragraphs, sentences, conversations, sex scenes, fistfights, and even italicized passages. Quote, Cormac McCarthy does entire chapters in italics, adds Nathan Pate. Only the rest of his writing redeems that, end quote. If you're a new writer, reviewing the list in these articles could be helpful. You up your chances of finding a readership if you learn what your potential readers' pet peeves are, says Allen. Once you're established and you know your audience well, you can ignore these pet peeves with wild abandon. Yes, readers have very specific pet peeves, and those specific pet peeves are specific to the reader. So you kind of shoot for the largest target of what everybody likes and, accept that sometimes a few readers will not like what you do. So we're going to go into a hot potato of wisdom related to this, of course. And I will try to throw the potato to me and catch it, and then throw it back to me and catch it. But as I said before, we'll keep this short. Don't worry. Okay. How can authors find out which pet peeves their readers have? So that's the question. I would say that if you want to find out what pet peeves your readers have, you could talk to your readers, or you could find a comp author and go look at the negative reviews or even some of the positive reviews for their books, because readers will point out their pet peeves in those. So that's a great way to do a little market research. And there tend to be pet peeves that are specific to certain genres. A lot of it is because people have seen that thing over and over again and it just doesn't do it well. Or, there are dream sequences, for instance, that will move the plot forward well enough that they can be useful. But sometimes dream sequences, for instance, are like treading water. You're just kind of sitting there, you're reading it, and are like, okay, get back to the action, right? So the way you pull it off is also going to be a factor in whether or not readers are annoyed by it. But I would say start by looking at the reviews for similar books. Or if you've already published a book or a few books, go look at the reviews for yours. But if you're looking at the negative reviews, take a few ibuprofen before it. Okay, so next hot potato. What pet peeves do you have when it comes to your own reading? Oh man, I have a lot of pet peeves, but most of it is... Head hopping is definitely one of them. Head hopping. If you don't know what head hopping is, if you're kind of new to the game, go look it up. Go look up what head hopping is, because it can be done. You can switch perspectives very flawlessly from character to character, but you can also do it very recklessly and to the point where the reader does not even know whose eyes they're looking through. So someone will read maybe something like Louise Penny's books, which have a lot of different perspectives in them, a lot of different POVs, and sometimes it'll just be like a few paragraphs of a character's POV. And then this author will say, I can do that, and then just does head hopping. What Louise Penny does is not head hopping. So that would be a big peeve of mine. And then scenes that don't move the book forward. And long text conversations or internet conversations. I recently read a book that was a lot of like chat room transcripts, and I thought I was going to lose my mind. Okay, so onto the lightning round. I'm going to ask myself, do you reward yourself for finishing a book? When and how do you celebrate? Yes, I could be better at rewarding myself for finishing a book, but I do make a mental note of it when I finish the book. That can be when I finish the draft and when I finish the revisions and when it is, officially done, maybe launch day, that sort of thing. I try to celebrate every time I can, not, massive. I'm not throwing parties, but going out to eat is my favorite way to celebrate. So that's what I try to do. Okay. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. I'm still recovering from the hoarseness. And I was like, how am I going to do a 20-minute show on my own? The answer is I'm not. This is going to be a very short show. So we are problem solving and going to the next question in the lightning round. How can authors train to do writing sprints to write more in small chunks of time? I probably should have edited that. That's a little awkward. Okay, so how can authors train themselves for writing sprints? And okay, this is what I love about writing sprints. If you are one of the people who has that internal editor that likes to stop you and say, no, you can't go to the next sentence until you rewrite this one, writing sprints can add the urgency you need to keep going. So how do you train yourself to do it? You start in small chunks of time. And you might find that the chunk of time doesn't feel like enough, so you add a little bit more time and a little bit more time. You train your focus the same way you would train any muscle, in my opinion. So that's how I did it, and it works for me. All right. A little dead air there while I hacked a lung up. All right, so our question of the week, and I hope you all will respond to this in the Facebook group, the Somewhere Book Show After Party Facebook group. That's where we get these responses. So come join the party if you haven't, and you can respond to this question of the week for episode 480. And that is, what are some of your writing pet peeves as a reader? So what are your pet peeves as a reader? Because we know as writers, we're also readers. Or I would hope so. It could be certainly helpful to read books before you write them. So what are some of your pet peeves? I listed mine. We had head hopping. We had scenes that don't move things forward. I'd love to know yours. So let us know in the Somewhere Book Show After Party Facebook group for episode 480. And now before I head out, I told you that was going to be short. Before I head out, I just want to remind you to go sign up for the masterclasses for the rest of the summer. These are just 3 hours we spend together. I'll answer all of your questions. We go way in depth. I'm really excited. I'm adding some new things to the Enneagram and Fiction Masterclass that I think are really going to be fun, where we can relate it back to certain characters you're familiar with. And so you really get a feel of the Enneagram types once and for all. So if you want to participate in that, be sure to go to ffs.media/classes. And hopefully I'll see you there on July 8th. July 8th. And then the one in August is the hero's journey of the Enneagram. So probably if you go to Enneagram and Fiction, you'll be so excited about this new tool that you'll want to then sign up for the hero's journey of the Enneagram class as well. And that's totally fine. Registration's still open. Okay, well, I hope you guys are having a great week of writing. Thanks for coming to the show, listening in your car or in your ear pods as you work out or clean the house or whatever. I hope you'll join Brian and I. It might just be Brian next week. We'll see. I'm on vacation next week. It's my quarter break. I love my quarter breaks. But I hope either way you will tune in next week for episode 481. All right. Thanks for coming. Bye.